This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on.
That is so beautiful.
No.
They're ridiculous.
She never stops whining.
Meghan Markle Googled, is the race card an actual card?
I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers. Slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
Your voice is driving me crazy and I'm about to jump over there and put my fists down your throat.
I think the woke have been asleep.
Oh my gosh, I work so hard.
You're complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous.
I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard.
Well, if Meghan and Harry can quit their family, you can too.
In her most recent podcast appearance, Meghan Markle promised raw honesty. No makeup, no script, just her heart on display. But instead of striking a chord, the Duchess faced backlash. Viewers and critics alike questioned the authenticity of the episode, calling it overly polished and emotionally rehearsed. Many noted that even her tears seemed to have a PR team behind them.
I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim, when there's nothing to be a victim about, and there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
The podcast host, Kern Lima, a close friend of Meghan's, wasn't spared either. Her excessively flattering tone drew heavy criticism. Commentators described the show as less a conversation and more of a one-hour praise session. One viewer quipped, "It felt like a Meghan Markle infomercial." Critics argued that the entire podcast was simply a marketing move to push Meghan's lifestyle brand.
I work so hard. The moment that everything sells out, it doesn't mean that we're done. It means we're working on replenishment and what are the next SKUs and what's the next tranche of products and what's the timing on that and writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line and what's the cadence of it. And
in this interview, she really goes on these tangents of talking about how stressful her day is. And when I was listening to it, I was thinking, no, that sounds like a normal day to me, Meghan.
And push it did. Meghan's products reportedly sold out within 30 minutes after the episode aired. But here's the catch. Analysts suggest there wasn't much inventory to begin with. That strategy, they say, created artificial scarcity to boost hype. Meanwhile, customers complained online that they still hadn't received their orders a month later.
She's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea for the rest of the family.
She is doing a cooking show on Netflix. I only watched 5 seconds of it and I thought she was going to cut her wrist by trying to zest a lemon. This girl has never been in the kitchen in her life.
So when she's trying to sell these kind of, I'm sorry, but crappy, cheap tats to middle America, she needs to have this relatability, and she doesn't have that at all.
Simultaneously, Meghan's trademark filing for yoga mats and pet bowls further fueled speculation that this was less about storytelling and more about selling.
They want it both ways. These people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention. And then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
Her appearance at the Time 100 Summit added another log to fire. Despite not being named in the 2025 list, Meghan gave a speech that many labeled as hollow. Critics scoffed at her inclusion, questioning what impact she truly had. One comment summed it up: she's selling jam, not changing the world.
She didn't make the Times list of cool people, but she did get invited there because her agency probably bought her access. This is one of the goofiest things ever.
Because I think it speaks to the tiny moments of joy that are so effortless and just create a little bit of magic that we're all craving.
What in the hell word salad is this?
Tiny little flower petals that are dried. I started putting them on salads. I started putting them on scrambled eggs. Level of charm that you find people have when they see these tiny little dried petals is something I can't fully wrap my head around, but I appreciate.
I'm elevating it by putting dried flower petals on all of my food.
Meanwhile, Prince Harry's BBC interview added fuel to the growing royal drama. In it, he criticized King Charles over unresolved security concerns following a failed court appeal. The timing, just as King Charles is battling cancer, prompted palace insiders and media outlets like the Daily Mail and the Mirror to accuse Harry of exploiting the king's illness and deepening the rift within the monarchy.
He lost at the trial court level on this push to make the British royal family pay for his security when he goes to the UK.
Once they realise that myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, please just look at the fact. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, look where the responsibility lies.
What a manipulation. My father's grandchildren. They're gonna and it will be his fault.
It's gaslighting on a grand scale.
Online, people weren't buying it. Words like entitled and self-pitying dominated the comments.
She's allegedly wearing no makeup. Meanwhile, she's got like the perfect blowout. Like she's completely camera ready. And she also is pretending like she's crying. There isn't a tear in sight. It's an actor's trick.
During promotion for Suits, she was joking with one of the photographers that she can cry on command. Left eye, go. And then you watch a tear fall down her face, and then she starts cackling because she's so proud of herself.
She has this really famous thing where she says one tap left eye and she can make herself cry on demand.
And speaking of online reactions, social media erupted over both Meghan and Harry's recent public appearances. Meghan's podcast was slammed as a self-focused therapy session. The Telegraph went as far as calling her a malignant narcissist.
They kind of f***ed up their whole thing, went way too hard on we're victims, and they assessed the mood of their generation and America correctly in that we are lovers of victimhood.
Yeah.
But America did finally find a way to say, you know what, we love victims, but you two, we've just had a little too much of it.
Even brands reportedly want nothing to do with her. Page Six claim companies like Goop rejected her pitches, calling her too polarizing to represent their lifestyle image. Podcast host Jamie Kern-Lima's delivery was called forced and over-rehearsed. YouTube critic The Royal Road said she sounded like a cheerleader on payroll, blindly echoing everything Meghan said. Despite Jamie's own credentials, she sold her company for $1 billion. Critics felt her credibility took a hit as she fawned over Meghan for nearly an hour.
Here's an email that I've been keeping for you.
I have full body chills right now.
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Thank you. Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
No.
Dan, when you do interviews on your show, do you do the Jamie Kern-Lima reactions? Yes. Oh my God, there's something wrong with her.
So what's really going on here? Are Meghan and Harry bravely bearing their souls, or carefully crafting a brand narrative? To critics, it's all theater. From the crocodile tears to curated confessions, it's not vulnerability, it's performance.
But as soon as Meghan Markle made it absolutely clear that it was all about the moolah, it was all about the big bucks, it was all about trading off the royal name, but she was lining up these deals when she was still the Duchess of Sussex. She was in talks with Disney, she was in talks with the publishing companies, in talks with Netflix. At that point, the late Queen Elizabeth II, quite rightly, in my opinion, said, no, there is no half in, half out. So you go with our blessing, but you lose everything. But I have zero sympathy for him. The fact that he is putting his father through this in the final years of his life. And Meghan, there are members of the royal family who believe that Harry's behavior hastened the death of the late Queen Elizabeth II.
I believe that too. That's what I say. I say those two killed the Queen.
And this podcast with Jamie Kern-Lima was absolutely car crash. I mean, Jamie Kern-Lima is actually a very successful woman, self-made billionaire. However, she is a fame whore because, she first found fame by appearing on the first series of Big Brother. She believes that she's the new Oprah Winfrey. And the problem is, you realize these are the types of people Meghan Markle is surrounding herself with. And none of them are prepared to ever give her a dose of reality.
At the end of the day, the public seems more skeptical than sympathetic. One thing for sure, this story isn't going away anytime soon.